Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our 2021 International Biomass Conference and Expo Speaker Orientation. I am John Nelson, Vice President of Operations, Sales, and Marketing here at BBI and for this conference. And I'm joined today with Dana Bastian, who is the Program Coordinator here for this event and at BBI International. To remind everyone, we are who's on this call. We are having the show. You know, obviously we're turning the show virtually, and it is going to be taking place March 16th through the 17th. So we had a lot of information out there about the 15th, and so I really want to reiterate that we are now March 16th and 17th, 2 full days of solid content going on those 2 days, and we did that just to make it easier on everyone involved in terms of versus spreading it out. So again, just make sure you mark that calendar 16th and 17th, as we have stated here. This is the 14th annual International Biomass Conference and Expo. It's been one of the largest and one of the longest running dedicated biomass events in the world. And we are glad you are able to join us, and we appreciate your contributions to this event. And Dana's going to go in here. As with a virtual event, there are some new things if you are new to speaking at one of our shows that you will want to be familiar with. They're going to walk you through. Dana and Sue Conroe are here. They're going to help, and they're going to make sure you know what you need to do. Again, you know, as I've stated in a previous webinar that we did for potential speakers and attendees, we moved the show for the safety of our attendees, you, the speakers, our staff, and so on. And so, you know, we didn't take it lightly, moving the show from a physical event to a virtual, but we believe that, and still believe that, this is the best way to move forward. And you'll learn here, and we'll go through a few slides that really demonstrate how you will gain actually potentially more exposure, in a virtual setting than you might at a physical location. We all want a physical event, and we will go back to a physical event, but there are some positive things, attributes to a virtual show that we'll cover. Right now on this slide, we're going to go through the perks of presenting 2021 event and virtual flow, so you kind of get an idea of how things lay out. The onboarding process for speakers, so you know what you're doing, and how do you get into your sessions. What are the awards? What are the tracks? We're going to cover all that, all 4 tracks happening at the same time. How are we doing that, virtually? Some items that you need as a speaker, and really designing your presentation. And we want to put some emphasis here on the top ways of making your presentation successful. And what we mean by that is really demonstrating real life, real world experience and applications that can be put down in video, in your PowerPoint, in your presentation, that really articulate your benefits to producers of biomass, power, and heat, pellets, densified biomass, RNG, biogas, or advanced biofuels. So we really want to pay attention to those slides, and we'll walk you through those steps. And then we'll talk about what happens during the event, and then we've got some data, because this is virtual and it might be new to some people who haven't seen a virtual event. We're going to share some stats from our International Fuel Ethanol Workshop that kind of talk about what you can expect from audience participation. So with that, I'm going to get out of the way and let Dana take over from here.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. As John mentioned, my name is Dana Bastian, and I'm the program coordinator for this conference. I've worked with many of you over the past few years, and I'm really excited to have this opportunity to give you all an opportunity to speak on our virtual platform. I wanted to give you a screenshot of what this virtual platform is going to look like. You will see that we do have it broken down by the tracks and by day. So attendees will be able to access those just like they would on the agenda. Say, okay, I want to go see a biogas one today at 10:30 in the morning. They'll be able to click on that, see your presentation, and find it really easily. So this is just a screenshot of what it'll look like as a speaker, and as an attendee, we will allow you access to go in there and check things out the day before as well. It's just a few little virtual perks of actually presenting at a virtual show. It is a lot easier to track the attendees who are in your session. In a real person event, in a real life event, you're able to see your audience face to face, but in here you'll be able to see their names, and we're able to track that data a lot easier than we would be at a physical event. And we will be recording all of the presentations with the Q&A, and they will be available on demand for 30 days after the event. That is a new thing that we are doing this year. We have seen a lot of benefit in it for people to go back who may have wanted to watch 2 sessions at the same time. They can go back and watch the full session in its entirety after the event. And so for some of you, this might be a perk. For some of you, you may be disappointed you're not able to travel this year for the show, but you don't have to leave the comfort of your home or your office in order to attend the virtual event. So this year's 2021 event has currently 80 plus speakers and moderators. We're looking at hopefully filling up about 100 plus exhibitors, and we're looking to hopefully bring in 800 to 900 attendees again this year, which is what we usually see in a physical show as well. This is just a little bit of a breakdown. We did go through this in our previous webinar as well, where we talked about the flow of everything. So you'll see we do have a main lobby here, and then it's broken up into the auditorium, which is where you will be able to watch all the sessions. So that'll be broken up by track 2, track 3, track 4, and then there will be on-demand sessions as well once they have been recorded. From the lobby, you can also go into a networking lounge, or you can also go into the Expo Hall. And the Expo Hall starts, you can click your way through, going through the Platinum Sponsor Room, Gold Sponsor Room, Room 100, etc. So we've tried to make it the best experience, most user-friendly experience possible for everyone involved. As a speaker, you do have a slightly different onboarding process. So you will need to onboard as an attendee. So you will get a link to log in as an attendee, but you will also be getting an email from Zoom about 5 days to a week prior to the event with a link to get into the back end of the Zoom room so that you can participate as a panelist. And as a panelist, you are able to show your video live for the Q&A. We'll be playing your pre-recorded presentation during the other part, and I'll get into more detail about pre-recorded presentations in a little while. But this link is going to be very important. If you, for some reason, aren't finding this, I will have a master spreadsheet of everyone's Zoom links, and I can send that to you as well prior to the event. There will be a little selection down here. You'll see it says in really, really small print, add to calendar. So once you get that, you can add it to calendar, and it will send you a reminder about an hour prior to your login time to get into the Zoom room. We are asking you to log in 15 minutes prior to the entire session. The reason being for that is we want to make sure that we can test your audio and video before we get into playing the presentations and before you go live for Q&A. Make sure that everything's working smoothly for everyone. Go over any housekeeping items for our moderators. If you have any specific questions you would like to be asked, we will be accepting those as well. So that's a time for you to get comfortable with your moderator, for you to talk to the other speakers and really kind of get a gist of how everything is going to flow. If for some reason you enter the Zoom room before the webinar starts by the host, you'll just have to wait a few minutes and they'll let you in. Usually they've been opening about 15 to 20 minutes prior to your speaking session, so that really shouldn't be an issue. This is going back a little bit to building your profile as an attendee and as a speaker. Make sure that all of your information is correct. The information that will be in your profile is however you registered. So whatever email you registered with, whatever job title, etc., is going to be in there. However, if you need to make any adjustments, please do that. When you're going into the expo hall or networking with other attendees, when you leave a business card, you have that option to do that at booths. That's the information that is going to be shown. So you want to make sure that's accurate so that you can network with the other businesses as well. So we are doing our Biomass Industry Awards again this year. We will be doing Excellence in Bioenergy and Groundbreaker of the Year. If you or anyone else has anyone you would like to nominate this year, please submit those nominations by February 5th. We do have a little tab on our website at biomassconference.com. If you click on the awards tab, there will be a short little survey for you to fill out, and you can make that nomination that way. We will announce those winners during the general session on Tuesday, March 16th. Tuesday, March 16th, we're going to kick everything off with the general session, and in that general session, we will be having our Biomass Magazine's annual conversation with Industry Association leadership. We are really excited about this year's panel. It will be moderated by our very own editor of Biomass Magazine, Anna Semet. And then we will also be joined by Patrick Serfas, Tim Ports, Carrie Anand, Peter Thompson, and Seth Ginther again. And we are really excited about this conversation, and they'll be all there to share their knowledge on all the new policies and everything that has been going on Capitol Hill. And then the rest of Tuesday and Wednesday will be broken out into the 4 tracks: pellets and densified biomass, biomass power and thermal, biogas and RNG. You'll notice that is a slight little title change from last year. We did notice that this year there were a lot more abstracts that were submitted focused on RNG, so we decided to change that track up just a little bit. And then last but not least, we will be talking also about advanced biofuels and bio-based chemicals. And this year, we are including a lunch and learn this time as well, which will be very interesting to listen to as well. As a speaker, here are some of those action items that you probably have gotten from me and Sue Conroe over the last week. Many of you have already confirmed your speaking spot or sent me your photo and bio. So thank you very much for that. Those of you who have not done that yet, please make sure to send us your photo and your bio at ASAP. Those are going to be included on our program guide. We will be also making sure those get uploaded into your speaker profiles in the virtual app. So the sooner we have them, the better. And then we will be asking you to register for the conference by Wednesday, February 17th. That is our early bird deadline. After that, the price does go up. So we want to make sure everyone does get the cheaper rate as a speaker. So please register by Wednesday, February 17th. And then we will ask you to upload your video file to our special Dropbox folder by Friday, March 5th. You'll notice that that date is a little bit sooner than most of you are used to for our physical events. The reason that we do need you to submit it about a week and a half to 2 weeks prior is that we have to put everyone's presentations together per session, and they will be played all together consecutively. So that gives us time to make sure if for some reason something goes wrong and we're not able to access your video file, or something seems like it's wrong, we have enough time to get back to you, let you know, and we can have that dialogue. So designing your presentation. Many of you will use PowerPoint, which is fantastic. We've always loved seeing everyone's PowerPoint presentations. For this format, we really suggest to make sure that you have it in widescreen format. So 16:9 is what we are suggesting. You'll be able to do that same as last year, making sure you go to the design tab, go to that drop-down window and select widescreen. Otherwise, it does appear as 2 little black side frames on the side. We want to make sure attendees are able to see your full screen. It just looks a lot better. And if you are planning on not using PowerPoint, since you do have the option now, since we are asking you to pre-record your presentations, you can do a video of you presenting from your desk or doing demonstrations or combining a couple videos depending on how savvy you are technology-wise and putting videos together, we would ask that you would do it in a 1920 by 1080 pixels for optimal image quality. That's just very standard usually in the majority of combining presentations and videos is 1920 by 1080. We are asking to make sure that you, when you're putting together your presentation that is educational and objective, we would like to avoid having about 25 different, sessions that are just fully commercials for companies. While we want you to promote your products, we want you to be able to do it in an educational and objective way. The presentation length is going to be the same as if you were doing a in-person event. However, we are asking that you try to stay as close as possible to that time limit of, if you are in a 4-person panel, 18 minutes, a 3-person panel, 20 minutes, because that does cut down into that Q&A time. So if for some reason everyone goes long, then there won't be time for Q&A. So we want to make sure that you're sticking within your 18 to 20 minutes, since we do have only 90-minute time blocks for each Zoom session. And it will be the same as if we were doing an in-show, where we will have the Q&A at the very end of the panel instead of after each speaker. If you are adding video segments, we do suggest that you embed all your videos with an automatic start, especially if it is within a PowerPoint, so that while you're giving your presentation and recording it, it just goes through and everything works very well. For example, we would love to see some videos or product tutorials to really enhance that virtual presentation. Many people, we did have a speaker who did some very great product tutorials in a previous conference that we just did, and we got a lot of feedback from people saying, this is really cool, this is what we want to see. So we wanted to share that information with you, letting you know that people really do get engaged more if you are incorporating videos and product tutorials, or how your service is implemented into a plant, into those presentations. And I really want to emphasize again, make sure that you do upload your MP4s to our special Dropbox by March 5th. That link was provided to you in the speaker guide. If you do need me to resend that, we certainly can do that. Please reach out to Sue or I, and we'll be more than happy to get you that Dropbox link. All right, so now we're going to go and talk a little bit more in depth about the top 3 ways to make your virtual presentation a success. So the 3 things that we have really noted that have engaged more attendees to really participate in Q&A at the end were incorporating demonstrations into your presentation, or case studies, and then also videos of your product or service. So demonstrations. So this is a little screenshot of the presentation that I talked about. That is Interstate Companies. Thank you for letting us use your video as an example. We were very excited to have this video put together. They incorporated some PowerPoint slides, but also some real life tutorials of showing how to use their service and their product and their technology. And it was put in a really well way. If you would like to see the full presentation, I can send that to you so that you have an idea of what we are looking for. So if it is applicable to your product or service, we'd love if you are able to share a video of yourself implementing your product or service at a customer's location, or inside a plant, or even just at your desk or at your office, combining that, and let us know how your product or service works. Case studies. One thing about case studies is you have a lot of data. So if you can use less words and use more charts or graphs or photos, that will be more engaging to the audience as well. It's shown time and time again that people look more at photos than they do the words. However, if you do need to use words for certain things, absolutely incorporate them. And last but not least, videos. Videos, as many of you know, I know we have quite a few very seasoned speakers on here. They do give you a break as a speaker, but they also really do capture the audience's attention. And as I mentioned, you can make that video a demonstration. It can be something that your marketing team has already put together, but incorporating those videos is going to be something that will give you a break, but also captivate your audience. This is the video example. We were having a little bit of technical issues playing it, so I will send this out after this all goes through, and I will make sure that everyone is able to view this example. For recording your presentation, we get a lot of questions. What kind of software should I be using? I know we have some seasoned speakers on here who have probably done a few virtual shows and already have it down pat, or have worked with your marketing teams or your communication teams to put together some really great content for other shows. And you can certainly go ahead and do that however you like. However, if you are planning to record your presentation from the comfort of your home, giving a PowerPoint presentation, two really easy ways to do that are via Zoom and via PowerPoint. You can do either or, and then you can save that as an MP4 and send to me. I do have a short video of Tim Ports, longtime program director here at BBI and now executive director of Pellet Fuels Institute. He does that, and I did include that in the speaker guide. So if you want to watch that video, head down towards the bottom of your speaker guide and you'll see the how to record a Zoom. The video is attached there. You can watch that, or you can read the instructions that were broken down as well on how to record a Zoom video. So this goes back to that email that day of the event. You will receive that email about 3 to 5 days prior. They'll send it out again the day of the event. Make sure you log in 15 minutes prior to the start of your session so we can test that audio and video and make sure that everybody feels comfortable with the process. Once that's completed, we will start the session. The moderator will introduce all of you. We will play all of your pre-recorded presentations, and then we will open everything live to Q&A after we will have a moderator provided, and they will be able to facilitate that Q&A. Now, some of you may be wondering, why are you asking us to pre-record your presentations? So we have done a few different virtual events over the past year, and one thing we noticed is you have a very wide range of people who are comfortable with Zoom, people who are not comfortable with Zoom. And for us, it helps us be able to be in control of everything that happens so that we can make sure that you have that presentation ready to go. Sometimes those technical errors of trying to share your screen can take a while, and we want to make sure that all of you are able to share your information and still have that time for Q&A. So that is why we are asking everyone to pre-record their presentation and not present live. All right, and now I'm going to turn it back to John, and he's going to talk a little bit more about some of the data, some of the things that we have learned from our past virtual events that maybe will put your mind at ease as to how this virtual event is going to go.
Thanks, Dana. Appreciate it. And to reiterate some of what Dana just said about doing videos, again, it allows us to make sure mistakes aren't happening. There's a lot of technology being used, so it really makes that part more seamless. What we also found is there's more continuity that we can provide for the viewer, for the attendee, by putting these videos together. By having you pre-record and we put them together, we're able to frame it, have continuity on every presentation that goes out. So it just makes a better format, a better way for our attendees to take in the information that you are providing. One thing I do also want to go through is just walking through those steps of when you get on a Zoom meeting. So going back to that last slide, when you do go into that Zoom meeting, there will be a live moderator, as Dana mentioned, but I just want to reiterate how that works. So you're going to log in 15 minutes before your session. There's going to be a live moderator that introduces everyone. And we have a live moderator there because we felt that really gave it a nice live feeling that we wanted based on other events that we've run. And then we go into the videos. And while those videos are taking place, and Dana mentioned this briefly, but while those videos are taking place, you are able to answer any Q&A questions that are happening. So that is a big component of why we like having you there live, is you can answer questions and talk to people real time in that meeting. And that's something that's an advantage you have that we really don't get unless we were asking questions real time in a physical show. So you can actually answer those questions as your presentation's running. And so that's a nice feature that speakers have found that they really like about that. And they can comment to all the attendees, they can talk to them as they're happening. So like a message board, for example, you can sit there and type to anyone in that room and talk to them as your stuff is happening. So maybe there's something you want to change or you updated, you could send a note to everyone. So there's a lot of that communication that can go back and forth. And then what we do after all videos are done, we do come back to a live Q&A, and you're on there with your video, with your face, live again with the moderator, taking on questions. And so really going back to that more live, real live feel that we're looking for. So I think you'll find it beneficial. I think you'll like it once you get into it. It's a little more work maybe up front, but once you're running the show, you've got your presentation, you've got it down how you like it, and you're going from there. So I'll get off that slide and jump into this next slide, which really talks about some survey data from our we've done multiple shows now virtually. This is from the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo that we did virtually last year. And what we were able to come across with our survey, I'm going to show you some stats here, is 89% of our survey respondents said they would attend another virtual BBI event. Exhibitors, a majority of the exhibitors said, I got value out of this. And I'll go into that a little bit more of how you can keep, why people had a successful booth and why they had a successful show. 77% of attendees rated the virtual onboarding process positive. We were looking at how that goes, whether you're a speaker or a general attendee or an exhibitor. How was that process? We're always going to strive to do better, and hopefully we can be in the 80s and 90s for this show. But this next one really pertains to you. 100% of the speakers said they would attend and speak at another virtual BBI international event. Now, it seems almost too good to be true to say 100%, but that they really believe that they liked the show. Everyone was pleasantly surprised with how it played out. So, and I think you will too once you experience it. Next slide, please. Here's some quotes from attendees. So what were our attendees, what were producers, what were exhibitors thinking? I'll let you kind of read through these, but this really sums up how we felt about a physical show. We're kind of going, I don't know how I feel, about a virtual show. And we were kind of going, I don't know how a virtual show will lay out. I really don't want to do a virtual show. But once we got into it, we realized it was pretty good. So here we say, I think, for example, John Jones, I think like most everyone else, and this really speaks to me, like everyone else, I very much would have preferred the opportunity to meet existing and prospective customers face to face. That was not a possibility at this time. That said, the conference was time and money well spent for us. So this last one, I really like this one. I believe, and this is from a producer, I believe that every FEW should have a virtual option so more people can attend while also working at their plants. So it does open up a new audience, allows people to experience the show that maybe couldn't have traveled, or more people at facilities that couldn't get away. We found that a lot of people were piping this in. So a lot of producers had this playing in their boardrooms because it was free to all producers, just like here at the Biomass conference. So it broadens our audience, opens up our audience, and you can see that it was well received by some of these comments. Next slide, please. Here are some of the stats. So some of the live attendance, you could see that inside some of our live attendance that was happening inside the virtual trade show, we had over 3,000 total. And then you can kind of break that down out of all the sessions and how many people were in each session. So 262 people sitting in average per session. We don't get that. Those are numbers that are better than our physical shows. So you have the potential here of having the same audience, if not bigger, larger audience than we do at our physical events. You will be able to reach more people doing a virtual show. And so really you want to think about when you're putting your presentation together, you want to think about the platform, you want to think about this particular medium and how that's going to translate in a virtual environment. And so we're really stressing the importance of having really good content that's really engaging. And so that's the live data. Now you go down into the on-demand. Now our on-demand is when Dana was mentioning your presentation is going to be up for 30 days where our attendees can go on and access it. So we had our virtual show, and after the show, you can see our numbers kept still rising and people were still accessing those presentations. They were still going to the trade show and looking at that data and looking at people's presentations, looking at exhibitors' booths, etc. So there's a lot of information that still happens 30 days from the end of the show, 30 days out. The show isn't over just on the 16th, and after the 17th, it's still going for 30 days. So that's a benefit that we've never had before, and something we'll probably add moving forward. We've talked about adding that component. Next slide, please. Now, some exhibitor data here that I'm bringing this up because some of you are exhibitors, some of you aren't, some of you have thought about exhibiting. But what we found is we had 172 booths at our ethanol conference. We had our unique visitors, and we had inside the trade show, and we had 36,000 views during the live event. So we had an average of 210 views per booth. Now this is average, so this is taking our top, which are really high, and our low, which were a smaller number. So you look at, and why am I bringing this up right here is we have the top 10 booths, and we have our top 10 that did the best primarily were sponsors, bingo, or bingo sponsors. Most of these also had speakers. So what I'm really trying to stress here is the more engaged you get at the show, if you're a speaker, we urge you to get a booth. We urge you to become a sponsor. You will have more leads in addition to all the contacts and people you'll meet and talk to in your speaking. You need a place to drive them to. So you want to be able to say, hey, you were in our show, or you took in this session and you were talking, you had a question. Hey, let's drive you back to our booth where we can talk a little bit more. I may have some information. You really want a place where you can drive those people, those attendees who are inquiring about more information. And by having a booth, you will have you'll have a place to drive them. A lot of people have said, well, I'll just put my information up and they can email me. It's up there briefly, but really what you want to do is drive them back into that platform where you can get that data on them. You can see who was at your booth and who you were talking to and record those conversations. So it really is in your best interest to become an exhibitor, to become a bingo participant, become a sponsor. The more engaged you are at the show, speaking, exhibiting, sponsor, the better results you are going to have and better ROI you're going to have. We appreciate you obviously bringing content in and being a speaker, but if you're just looking at how well you're going to do at the end of the show, we really can't stress enough, the more involvement, the better off you're going to be. And so with that, we thank you for being on today's webinar. If you do have questions, you can reach us at speakers@bbinternational.com. Obviously, Dana and Sue will answer any questions you guys have. If you do have questions about booths or any of the sponsorships, we do have a team here waiting for you as well, and Dana and Sue can drive you to the right person. So we appreciate it. We appreciate your involvement. Your content is what makes the show, is what makes producers want to be here. So thank you. We can't say that enough, and we look forward to seeing your presentations. Thank you.